resurrect my soul. Oh, I'm praying, Lord, 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 take me to the river so you could resurrect my soul. Oh, I'm praying, Lord, 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 take me to the river so you could resurrect my soul.
Welcome you to another episode of Porch Talk. This is your host, Alan, and I'm on the phone lines again. I got to burn them down. I got to catch up with Fuzzy because something great just happened for the guys.
Oh, yeah.
So what's going on, my man? How's life in Buffalo, New York this season?
Life is cold right now in Buffalo, New York. It's a cool, 29 degrees.
Yeah, I can't relate, dude. It's been like 60 here today.
Oh, man, that's nice.
The only thing that's different is I can't testify because I've never been that far up. But from what everybody tells me is like furthest up I've ever been is North Carolina. But everyone tells me like the difference between like the north and the south is our humidity. And so like 40 degrees here, it'll be like what they call a wet cold.
Right.
And it hits you different. But then like you hear songwriters talking about the cold in the northwest and the northeast. And it's just kind of a different kind of cold. And I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, I mean, when it gets... Here's the thing. It was like when I lived out in California. You know, when I lived on the East Coast, you know, it was hot and humid in the summer times. You know, where 80 degrees with like, 90% humidity is just god awful, you know?
Yeah.
And, but the thing is everybody said, oh, well, you're going to move out to California. It'll be a dry heat. Well, 110 is still freaking hot, man.
Yeah. Like I think like right when it touches 90, that's hot. Like
yeah,
I don't care. I don't care where you are.
Cold is cold.
Yeah.
Don't matter if it's a wet cold or if it's a northeast cold.
Yeah. So I guess that's the best place to leave it. It's just cold. It's just cold, guys.
That's right.
And I'm cold.
Absolutely. Cool, man. Yeah, dude, it's been what a heck of a year. We've been blessed these past months.
Man, it's been great knowing y'all and following y'all. It's been so much fun to just to track y'all.
Yeah. I now that we're getting toward, the end of the year and stuff, I've been looking back and kind of looking back at our year, and when we started up in February with our first show and where we are now. And, it was back in September. I'm like, all right, well, we just played Willie Nelson. What are we going to do now?
Yeah.
And you just keep plugging along, that's the thing when you're an artist and you got your day job and your side hustle is your music and you're putting all your heart and soul into it. You just got to keep plugging along because, you keep doing that, other things will pop up. And so just recently, last year I had done this Toyota Taste of Country Hometown Riser competition.
Yeah.
Through our local radio station, Country Radio 106.5.
A lot of folks come out for it.
What's that?
Did a lot of folks show up to, partake in it?
Yeah. Last year, it was, there were 4 bands, I think, that went through. And, I was fortunate enough to be a finalist. And, I didn't win. And I guess I lost by like this. I heard like 1 point or, whatever it was real close.
How did they judge it? By crowd response or?
No, that was part of it. Your interaction with the crowd and how you your stage performance and presence, but songwriting and musicality as well. And there was one other one, I forget what it was. But what was nice is there's 3 or 4 judges, and it's not based on audience approval. So people were actually judging you on certain criteria. And so last year it just didn't happen, and I was just happy to be a second runner-up.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that gave us steam going into 2019.
Absolutely. Like, I can't imagine, man. Like, so the conversation, did the guy, like, tell you, like, why you were number 2?
No, I mean, no one really told me why or what. They didn't give me, like, the results and stuff. But, you know what, though? I looked back at that, and after reflecting now over the past year,
yeah,
you can see why that one point that may have made the difference. It's very clear looking back at it, because it was, had I won that, I don't think it would have been beneficial, because I don't think I would have learned as much over the past year as I had. One of the things is confidence and commanding the stage.
Yeah,
and I didn't have that then. And I remember I got up there, I was so nervous, I dropped my pick.
Great.
Fortunately, I had one in my pocket, and I was able to quickly grab it. And, it didn't make a difference. But then, during capo changes, I put it on the wrong capo, and I didn't do any detriment to my songs, but it was that confidence that I think that didn't shine through. And, I think that's why I lost, and rightfully so, because Jillian, who won it last year, she's doing great now. She's down in Nashville, and I wish her all the luck in the world. So
yeah, and she was ready.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man, she killed it. So,
I think
this year it came around again.
I think that's great, man. And like, it kind of seems like since I've started following the Fuzzy and the Rustbelt story, I think that's a good intro as far as there's nothing like a good loss.
Yeah.
It's almost like you didn't lose.
Well, I think that's the thing about life, right? You're not going to win. You're going to lose more than you win, right?
Yeah.
And it's learning a lesson in the losing that makes you better at whatever it is you're striving toward.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer in that, and that's what happened. I don't know. I dug in, and I'm like, all right, well, let's go. Let's see where 2019 takes us.
Just to brush over some of the highlights.
Yeah.
Just what about 2019, man? What are some of those moments? Well,
I mean, coming out in February 2019 with our debut album release and selling out our first show, that was huge. That was a big confidence booster.
Yeah, it had to mean a lot.
Yeah. And even though I came in second place, I still had some help from the radio station, and they were pulling for us as well. So we opened up for Rodney Atkins, Maddie and Tay, and Mitchell Tenpenny at the UB Center for the Arts, which is a university at Buffalo.
Yeah.
So again, that was an acoustic performance, and another experience on a big stage in front of a bigger crowd.
Did you say Rodney Atkins?
Yeah.
I thought so. Are we talking about like the Rodney?
The Rodney Atkins, yeah.
Yeah, I thought, man, wow.
Yeah, there's a photo of me on my Facebook page.
That's cool, man. Like I haven't heard that story, man. That's a cool story.
Yeah, he was a cool guy. I only got to talk to him for a little bit backstage, but nice guy. And he and his wife debuted a new song that night, and man, it was awesome. It was a duet, and it was fantastic. They killed it. I don't think there was a dry eye in the audience.
I want to pause right there, man, because I want to plug this. It's like really been the beauty of Porch Talk. Like just we haven't personally met or like talked before after a show, you know, but you know, even with the way that we met, and now that what you're doing on YouTube is brilliant, and I really appreciate what you're doing. Is the interviewing with Porch Talk with some of the Sunstroke interviews is like that was immediately before or immediately after the show. And right. It's just so much easier to enjoy and get the music when you know the artist. Yeah. And so, man, with your YouTube, the Fuzzy Fridays, man, I just want to give that a shout out. I want to plug that myself, is because I always try to share it on our media, and
I see that.
Like, you know, 50 million. Like that was one of my least favorite tracks on the album. Yeah.
That's all right. You know, everybody's got to have a least favorite track. That's all right.
But because of a Fuzzy Friday, you changed my mind. Like, right when you played that lick, and it was the first time I'd ever heard it acoustic. Like, I was like, I know that lick. This is... Okay, here we go. And then you just started telling the story about it, and I was like... And then I went back and listened to it, you know, after the show was over, and I was like, I get it. And I dig it. And now it like becomes like one of the more memorable and, you know, a favorite track off the album.
Sure.
But banger of an album. Guys, if y'all have not checked out Fuzzy and the Rustbelts, that's one of them albums that you'll put in and you'll sit way through it. Whole way. You'll enjoy it.
Love it.
But yes. I just wanted to plug those Fuzzy Fridays, man. I think that's a great idea.
Thanks, man. Yeah, a buddy of mine, I call him my consigliere. He and we do a lot of, we kind of do a lot of back and forth and little, you know, ideas here and there and what would be beneficial. And he and I kind of were talking one day. He's like, well, what about, you know, maybe doing some sort of vlog or something? And so that's how Fuzzy Friday kind of came to be. And, but we just recently had a conversation today. It's funny you mentioned it. One of the things about live performance that you don't get from an album is those little stories that maybe heighten the emotional response, or you kind of look at the song differently.
I think that's what did it for me. I hate to cut you off right there, but it like caused an emotional response because we all have those people in our lives that I could just choke the mess out of you, but I just love the mess out of you.
Right.
Here's 50 million reasons why.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. You know, because you go to a live show, right? And I always say to people, well, we've got the album, but we've also got the live show. And if you ever been to one of our shows, is, you know, Mountain Song is a full band, like almost like a folk punk rock kind of giddy up to it. It's neat. Like, it's nothing like the album. You know, Take Me to the River we've got 3 different intros that we can use for whatever type of setting we're in for that song. And, you know, the Flatlander, we do full band now. So the things you hear on the album aren't necessarily what you're going to hear live. You're going to hear kind of like our cover of our song, you know?
Yeah, man, I dig it. That's the way, man, lately that I've really enjoyed playing like my songs as I'm figuring out what they could be. Yep. You know, and like just playing them out, you know, like maybe over at a friend's house and be like, man, I just wanted to share this with you. I've never tried to write like this. I've never used chords like this.
Oh, okay.
You know, and I was like, I was listening to, I don't know, say anything the other day, and I just forgot how cool this chord was.
Yeah.
And I thought I would try to use it in the song, and so here we go. And I mean, that's so much fun. It's like each time you play it, like you might play it a little bit different, or like you said, like I like introducing songs way different, and maybe it's not even the same genre even anymore.
Right.
It's a cool space to be in, like covering yourself.
Yeah, I mean, well, it makes it fun too, and I mean, we stick within the, the bounds of what Fuzzy and the Rustbelts is all about. But, it makes it fun for us. It makes it fun for the audience too sometimes, because they're like, what's this song? Oh, I know that song. Oh,
Yeah.
I like that,
Yeah.
And, and that's what, Mountain Song is. It's a small acoustic song with, a vocal and a harmonica on the album. But when you come out to a Fuzzy and the Rustbelt show, it's a full-on rock show,
Yeah.
So it makes it fun.
Yeah. Oh man, you said this at the beginning of your response. I wanted to ask you about this.
Yeah.
And so with your sound, and just coming from solo artists and having a band, the sound, and let's just talk maybe longevity, if we could like forecast that. Is you mentioned that we have a sound and we're going to be true to that. So when you see us, this is what you're going to hear. Like, and I'm sure it will as you age, and and fatherhood becomes a different thing, and marriage becomes something more, and like you just gain wisdom,
Right.
in the way that you develop ideas, and along with everyone else in the band. So I think there'll be development there. But do you think like the sound will evolve and shift?
I mean, I think it'll bounce around whatever genre we're in, like this Americana genre. That's the beauty of this genre, is you can bounce from folk to country to rock and kind of mix it all in there together, and you can bounce around the room. Maybe you'll be a little closer on the rock end one album, and the next album it'll be a little more chill, like a folk album.
Absolutely.
That's kind of the freedom in that, and I'm trying to make sure when I'm writing, I'm not too harsh on myself, being like, well, that doesn't fit the first album. Well, write the songs, and then get your batch that you really like, and then start putting an album together, and if it's good, it's good,
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, we definitely have like our own, sound, that signature Fuzzy and the Rustbelt sound that I want to make sure we're still true to that in a way.
Yeah, because I think over the years, and what's crazy, it was a band that has always done it. I caught them about midway. I caught them on their third album, talking about Incubus.
Oh, really?
And so, like the past 2 or 3 albums, like it stopped, I think at Light Grenades is when I stopped. I still buy their music, because I still like them, but like I have vinyls of theirs that I didn't even open because I didn't like the record. I just bought it, I just own it.
Yep.
And it's like I don't like that sound.
Yeah.
But it's nothing different about Incubus. It's like they have always done this. They've always developed. Like their first album, it was like, it was extremely like, you had a lot of scratch on the DJ, and like it was psychedelic. It was funky.
Yeah.
And then their sound, like by the time they got to Science, it was like they're kind of hard. They're hard rocking. They're a little more hard.
Yeah.
And then like the next album come out, Morning View, and it was like, oh, they're just chill.
Yeah.
And it was like Mike Zinger's influence on guitar, I think, has changed a lot too. Like he was always a big influence that taught me to learn how to play jazz chords.
Okay.
Like a lot of Incubus songs, as I started learning them, I was like, they all have something in common, and look it up and be like, he's He's a jazz player.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's always little things, little similarities within each player's, style or songwriting. That, the more you kind of research it, you can pick those little things out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I noticed the same thing with Coldplay for me. Their first 3 albums were pretty similar. Kind of could have all been written in one era.
Yeah.
And then they came out with Viva La Vida, which like shook the whole thing up.
Yeah.
And was phenomenal. And I mean, honestly, when did that come out? Like 07, 08?
It was around that, man. It may have been 09, but I think 07's it.
I mean, I think that kind of like, I'm not crediting them for the Americana resurgence, but in a way, like, it kind of, I think, opened up people's minds, or I don't know, I think people were more receptive to when Mumford and Sons then popped on the scene.
You know what's weird about that? Like, I wanted to tell you, ask you this too, is like, with Coldplay and Mumford and Sons, you're absolutely right, because it quickly hit, like, it became something more. It was like pop Americana.
Yeah.
And so it was, but like, have you ever tried to define like the genre Americana, like with someone who's like not familiar with music?
Yeah, I mean, basically I just used that whole thing.
I think you nailed it.
Yeah, it's just, it hits, you can just kind of bounce, like, you can circle around this. I see like a triangle, and you've got, folk, country, rock, and then you just draw a circle in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And that's Americana.
I think that's the best way to put it. Because I struggle with that, because like a lot of the artists that I'll share, like your band, for instance, they'll ask, what is it? It's folk rock Americana. And they was like, what?
Yeah.
It's folk rock Americana. And they was like, what is it? It's like, well, it's Americana, but it has senses of rock and it has senses of folk.
Yeah. It's like, just listen to it. You'll get what I mean.
Yeah. It's hard to describe, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But it's fun, It makes it, there's a freedom then when you write, you don't have to, I don't know, like I said, you don't have to be so hard on yourself that you're not stuck in that genre,
Yeah, man.
So.
Well, man, we chase some rabbits. Let's get back to just highlighting the year. So after Rodney Atkins.
Yeah. Oh man, so after Rodney, we got together with some of the big dogs here in Buffalo, Leroy Towns and 10 Cent Howell, and played with them at the Mohawk place, which was kind of like on my list of things to do for 2019, was kind of meet those guys and kind of see what they're all about. And from that show, it opened up doors to get over to the Sportsman's Tavern, which is kind of a big deal here in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And so we did a emerging artist series there, and it was us and a few other people. And just one thing kind of kept going. One thing led into another, and what happened. Then we got into the Jam in the Valley. That was the radio station again that hooked us up with that, and then went over onto Rib Fest at Niagara Casino, and kind of after that we were like, okay, well, where are we going here? And all of a sudden Willie came a knocking, and we got into that Outlaw Music Festival with Willie Nelson and Alison Krauss and Bonnie Raitt.
Dope.
Yeah, dude. Well, like I said, we got to that point, and like it was such a huge thing. Like,
dude, I love Mandy's story about it.
With Which one?
I think it's so, well, both of them are hilarious. Like her getting there late.
Oh yeah.
But the funnier one was like it's just like I think your leadership is just hilarious, man. It's like oh, by the way, guys.
Yeah, by the way,
it was almost like just unbelievable news when you said that, and she was like talking about her response on the last episode.
Yep.
Dude, that was funny. She's like, Willie Nelson?
Yeah, they get mad at me sometimes, but no, and so after that, it kind of was like then you're on such a high, and we've had such a just uphill, not uphill, just a constant, we're just constantly, doing a better show after a better show after a better show, all year long. And then we finally hit the peak here with Willie. And then it's like, all right, here comes this is going to be the come down, and, it kind of hurt a little bit because there was a little bit of a come down, and, but, it's just been a busy fall for us. We've had a interesting year with everybody personally too. We've been so busy with the band and everything that we've had some personal things going on as well. So everybody juggling all of that as well as trying to make Fuzzy and the Rustbelts work. It's really been a juggling act, and but everybody's handled it with such grace and professionalism. It's just we're fortunate to have each other in this group. So, then we were able to, we got a cool gig over at Mohawk Place with the Talbot brothers, who were out of Portland. It was on a Tuesday night, and it was kind of, it was a humbling experience. While we got to, watch how a touring band kind of, why they take certain gigs on a tour that might not yield positive results.
I like this story, man. I love this story.
Well, it was really cool because, I asked them afterward was, why would you take a show on a Tuesday night where, there might only be 5 people there? And they're like, well, it's gas money, to get to the next big paying gig. And I'm like, that's a cool way of looking at, your tour, and you map out how you're going to get to that big paying gig. And, so it was cool learning that, but for us, I was humbled because it came after the Willie Nelson show, and it kind of put me back in my place a little bit. It was kind of just saying, hey man, you had a great show. You got to keep working though.
Yeah.
And so we did. And, we got a good relationship with Mohawk in Buffalo, the Mohawk Place. And, we were fortunate to get another gig over there with a fantastic, honky-tonk kind of guy, Jeremy Pennell.
Yeah.
He's out of Kentucky. And so that was a lot of fun, playing that show at the Mohawk with them. And then, and that was it for us. I didn't book anything because, Butch, he his wedding, it was in November.
Right, yeah. And congratulations to him, by the way. I don't know him or met him over a phone interview yet, but congrats.
Yep. So, we had a couple other things kind of pop up.
Life
last
happens.
Minute. And so we're like, all right, well, we got our show in December, and we'll push that. And so, so then too, also what kind of helped that in between time was, also this year we put out 2 music videos. We had the big debut for that Sweet Song back in August.
Yep.
Which was huge for us because at that time there was a contest going on to play some festival here in Buffalo. that we entered in on, and our music video dropped at the same time. And so all these people were watching that, and, we're getting bumps on our social media from that. And then that fell through, but then Willie Nelson came about. And so it was like huge right there at the end of August, early September.
Yeah, man. I remember it. Like, I remember, like, sharing it and talking with people about the thing, man.
Yeah.
Like, because, I was trying to get them to vote. I voted.
It was fun, it was a good time, and it was great for just getting the name out there and all that. And then it happened again now. So, just when we thought things were kind of slowing down, all of a sudden, home away from home, we spend some weekends in October getting that ready to go. Got the release for the single, the date, everything. And just at that time, that Taste of Country Riser competition came up again for 2020's Taste of Country Riser. And I'm like, you know what? Let's do it, but let's do it as a group and see how we do. And just go in with no expectations. Let's just go in and have fun. So,
yeah, man.
Boom, we did this, and again, we got the music video and the single, which are doing great. Taste of Country Riser starts happening for us, and then we're promoting our show for December 13th with Jonah Krall. So things are starting to work again in our favor as far as getting the name out. Social media is doing well, and then we end up winning the thing. So
I couldn't believe it.
I was kind of floored. I did an interview afterward with the radio station. I think I'm kind of an idiot in it. I don't even want. I don't want to listen to it. I really don't. I think I sounded like a moron. I totally forgot to plug our show. For Friday night, I emailed them and said, "Hey, do you guys mind plugging it for me afterward?" But
dude, I've been there, man. Like with some of these podcasts, like I don't know, like it seems like I do the editing and like, yeah, man, and just feeling it, and then after it goes up and it's out and it's too late, and I was like, oh shoot.
Yeah, I know. It's like, oh man, why didn't I remember to do that? Or why didn't I remember to say that?
Yeah, man.
Same thing. And when you're playing live, and you forget to, plug that you're gonna have CDs or whatever.
I think it all comes out in the wash, man.
Yeah, it does. I think so. I think you're right.
Yeah, I think it's okay, and I think like sometimes like when we're not at our best and like we seem floored, is I don't know, it's a cool experience for. It has value. I don't know. It has some kind of a value. But man, I wanted to go back just for a second about with in the cap this just for songwriters out there, because with some of the lessons that you learned, like you said, he wouldn't take a gig in a town, that wasn't, if it wasn't right. That was the question to him, is like, why are you taking this one? There's a possibility of there not being two. And then just like what you've learned about stage presence.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me rephrase the question. And so, like, just, let's talk about this as like just over the year, like with these cool opportunities that you've had, and all the lessons that you've learned for the songwriters out there, for the bands out there listening, is just your takeaways for 2019 with these experiences, whether it was about picking those gigs, if you're trying to be a road band, and like how to look at it, or if it's stage presence, or it's just playing in the capacity of someone you never thought you would share a stage with.
Right.
And just what does that look like, just someone to aspiring right now?
Well, one of the things is, as far as gigs go, never take a gig that you don't think that. Here's the thing: if you don't think you can bring some people, and you're reliant on booking the club, and it's your show and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of irresponsible if it's if you know that it's a 250 person club, say, and you're only going to bring 20 people.
Yeah.
It's kind of you either gotta put together a bill with like 3 other bands, and everybody does that like hour and 15-minute power hour kind of show.
Right.
You put that together, you split it, 3-way split kind of thing. Being responsible as a musician, I think, is a good thing to make sure that you're doing, especially with clubs, because it's a business too. They want to make money, and obviously we all need places to play, especially as an original band. And there's in a place like Buffalo, and I'm sure there's lots of places like Buffalo in the U.S. that there aren't a ton of places for original music.
Oh, preach, brother.
So
or imagine living in a place to where your genre doesn't fit the scene, so you couldn't possibly get it.
Right. So then you're limited, to maybe 2 to 5 places in a city, right? And the problem is you're going to exhaust yourself if you're trying to play every week as an original band at these places. And so you got to kind of look at, well, what are my realistic goals and objectives, right? Well, right now I'm not going on tour.
Yeah.
Right now at my current situation with, family and where we're at. So how can we creatively do this? And part of the things that I have started to do is I book us maybe every 4 to 6 weeks, because we created a live show that's about an hour and a half, a 90-minute set of original content with maybe 3 or 4 cover songs in there. Something that supports what we're doing.
Yeah.
So that's what we've been doing right now. It's been working out good. And, if we have to, put a bill together, and I'm trying to do that right now for Mohawk Place. So, in April, we're going to be playing over there. And so I'm trying to put together a 3-band bill. And, hopefully we can fill that pretty good and have a good night for ourselves and for the club, and sell some merch, and just, be respectful of the club, and still, try to promote each other and bring each other's fans out, and,
Yeah, man. Like,
cross-pollinate, so to speak.
I'll share with you this just about that advice you just gave, but like just picture this is some of the local scenes in the area. Is like the reality for some of these bands is there may be only one scene, and if they don't have the music, like they're an original band, but if they don't fit the genre or what plays there, they can't play.
Right.
And so they're left with maybe a private show, maybe a frat party, or maybe just by some miracle there's a Sunstroke House. And that's what I'm so thankful for. I'm thankful for the Sunstroke House, and I'm thankful for people like Monk on Alt 1017 who will give these people some kind of push. There's a way you can find them, you can hear them. So I'm thankful for Indies Only that plays on Saturday night. You've been on that show, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thankful for that. And so, man, like, my passion for some of these bands in this area right now is just, I'm doing everything I can do to, like, just get them out, because they can't play here. They have to go somewhere else. But they can't move.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
If anyone has a chance to listen to it, I don't know, did we talk about this last time? It was Joe Rogan's show.
I don't think we did.
He had a really good interview with the, oh my goodness, the Black Keys.
Oh, we did not talk about this, but dude, yes. Patrick,
awesome interview.
Patrick Carney's heart for music. You know, I had Erica Winterstrom on. She's from the Heartless Bastards.
Oh, cool.
And she retold the story of how the Black Keys, Patrick Carney, discovered the Heartless Bastards.
Oh, really?
And how,
I didn't know that.
And how they got that the Mountain album recorded at Fat Possum, where the Black Keys recorded an album, and then they got to headline for Black Keys when they were first getting around.
Oh, that's cool.
And so, like, dude, Black Keys, Patrick Carney, Dan Auerbach, man, I love everything that they do. And so,
dude, it's
and
an
they
awesome
do,
interview.
and they're like Jack White. They do so much for the music community.
Yeah. And well, one of the things I loved about them is they had some great advice for bands like me.
Yeah.
You know, bands that are original bands that are in towns like, they're from Akron, Ohio, so it's a Rust Belt city.
Yeah.
You know, it's not far from me. And so what do you do with that when you're up here in the Northeast or in the Midwest or upper Midwest? And, you know, you want to go down to Nashville. But he made a valid point. He goes, listen, how many bands, you know, all these bands moved to L.A., they all moved to Nashville, they moved to New York.
Mm-hmm.
If we really sat down and counted how many, out of all the bands that went there and all the bands that have come in the past, say, 20 years, how many have actually come from those areas?
They haven't.
Right. Or you know, there's a few of them, obviously, you know, people will come from them, but more people come from, you know, Minneapolis or from, you know, Austin or from Orlando.
To break right there with Austin, did you see the shift in musicians right now in Austin? They're leaving.
Why?
I don't know.
I haven't heard that.
But they had there was an article that got put out. I think it was on Saving Country Music. That it was an old timer, man. He's in his 70s, and like he was an influential musician in the area, and he left. And like they went on to say that he's not the first. That many people are leaving Austin right now. That Austin's landscape is changing.
Well, yeah. I mean, we could get into a whole big thing on that. I think not only the musical landscape, but the political landscape is changing as well, which I think that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. Yeah. But one of the things to get back on the Black Keys real quick, what he did say for guys like us is working from the periphery of Nashville. So, you know, you still work at your home base, you know, making, you know, Buffalo or like Akron, you know, home base, and, you know, how you got your tour and stuff, and you still affiliate with who you need to affiliate in, you know, say Nashville. And, but it's still very much possible to, you know, make it as a, you know, successful musician without making the move. You know, it's not that you have to go down there. Now, is the opportunity greater? Sure, maybe. You know, I don't know. I'm not in that situation yet, but
I've got 5 friends that recently made the move to Nashville over the past 3 years.
Yeah.
And as far as success, I would say to some extent.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, the opportunities are there, right? You're able to meet people easier. And
it's about rubbing elbows, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole point. Is like it's a melting pot, especially like East Nashville. Like when we went up and worked Tomato Fest back when it was hot as hell in Nashville. Like, I don't know if, like, everyone doing a spin on Nashville Hot, like, they're talking about spice or heat. But, I don't know. But, East Nashville was a fun place to just kick it.
Yeah.
Because, like, it was a lot of, like, everybody there, it seemed like they were a musician.
Yeah, well, that's that's the thing.
Yeah.
And that's what you run into, right? So then, you're just one of many in a huge pool. So,
but the thing about it, like, I'll tell you this, is, like, in Kennedy, like, where I'm from, like, where I'm talking to right now, is, like, I could name you almost every musician in this town.
Yeah.
I could tell you every guitarist, every drummer, and I could tell you the state of health they're in.
Yeah.
And, like, I remember when I was 18 and first was coming out as one. And, like, it was big fish, little pond.
Yeah.
And it was easy to be, like, a big deal at a house party. Or at your school.
Yep.
And to be like, just nobody else is doing this because, like, it's so small.
Yep.
And then I moved to Mobile and I joined I got on a scholarship, a voice scholarship. I don't know what they were thinking, but anyway, like, sang in the choir and got to do, like, big production stuff.
Okay.
And in a room of 400, I felt like the smallest fish. And so it was small fish, big pond. And it was like, so my advice, like, with, like, moving is, like, no. I think it, like, hurts because that hurt every bit of my creativity. I felt so small.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the right answer is. I guess it, like, because obviously, it worked for the Goo Goo Dolls here in Buffalo, right? They left, went to L.A., and it worked out for them. So I guess really it really depends on who you are and how good you are and who you rub elbows with.
Yeah.
And but I did like, though, what they had to say about working from the periphery of a music city and the freedom in that.
I think there's so much value, and that's what I say about my friends who have moved to Nashville.
Yeah.
In my opinion, did they make the right move? Yes. Because everything that they have learned, and when I call to check on them, everything that they're doing inspires me, and I know it's inspiring them.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I'd love if, I were 10 years younger and, it was a different situation. I'd totally go down there, but, at this point in where I'm at, it's just not in the cards for me. But, so, that's where you got to think outside the box and work from the sidelines and kind of see where you can go.
There's beauty in that, dude. I can't tell you, a lot of the guests that I've had on the show, who are just extremely seasoned musicians. I'm talking like 20 years in the game.
Yeah.
And they've been in several bands and have influenced several people in those bands. And, like, a lot of times they didn't even realize who was influencing them. Like, think about like a Jason Isbell with Drive By Trucker kind of thing.
Right.
And, like, their advice that they give when they're sharing is the same thing that you're talking about. Is like, I never thought I would be the guy that's doing the dad shows, or I never thought that I would be the guy that just makes frequent trips out to California. I never thought I would be the guy that just is a weekend warrior.
Right.
But I'm doing all my responsibilities with my family, and I'm doing what I love, and by some miracle, I'm able to still do this as a living. And I have to fight for it every day. Finding time to write, it's a pain in my ass. Yep. I wake up early before my mind's even developed, and sometimes that's the best place, or it's late at night when everything is just on my back.
Yep.
And I was like, man, the life of an artist.
It's true. It's true. I mean, I got my studio that I'm in right now. That's, it's a few blocks away from my house. I'm fortunate to have it. But I'm here 3-4 times a week. And I help my wife put the kiddos to bed, and she's gracious enough to let me then come down here, and I'm here for 3-4 hours sometimes.
And I appreciate you taking the time tonight, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all part of the side hustle, and as a working musician, and it's worth it. It's worth the hustle, because the passion of songwriting is just so great for me, and I can't imagine not creating and not having the outlet to create music. And when you ask me about songwriting advice for people, is I just constantly go back to write about what you know.
Man, I just had Justin Peter Kinkelschuster from Water Liars. If you're not familiar with him or his band, check them out.
Water Liars?
Yes.
Okay.
And he just said exactly what you said. And he was like, because a lot of his critique, I guess, is like it's dark.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I just, when I'm doing songwriting, and he's like, I don't like being asked about it. I don't like talking about it, but it comes from a place that I know that
right.
that is dark and that I have lived, but it's the bittersweetness of it.
Mm-hmm.
It may be in mourning, but it is happy. It's just not. It doesn't sound happy.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, you can do that. I wrote a song. It's pretty deep. It's called "Long Lost Wind." Actually, we played it at the final for the Taste of Country Riser. That's what I think put us over the edge, was this song. And it's got that, 4/4 Johnny Cash kind of, doom chicka doom chicka doom chicka doom chicka. It's
Yeah, I hear a train coming.
Yeah, kind of. It's kind of got that vibe to it, and it's a foot tapper. And it's fun. People like it. They they want to clap to it. They nod their head to it. They tap their feet, and it's all about neglect and just I got this idea. I was in a bad part of town, and I just saw these two kids just alone.
Yeah.
Doing whatever it was that they were doing, and they were young. I mean, they were my kids' age. And I couldn't imagine, letting my kid walk around in a neighborhood like this alone. And, and so I'm watching them, and they're just being kids. They're just playing, running around and everything. And this whole storyline came into my head of, it starts off, I'm 21, my family's gone. There's no one left to lean on here since I've been gone.
That's heavy.
And it goes through this boy's life. He's telling it, from a young man's eyes at this point. But he talks about basically he's been bouncing around from home to home, searching for a family, and how for the longest time he would stare at that door waiting for mom or dad to come home, and even when they were home, he was neglected, but that was probably the best thing that could have happened. Considering all the other things that were going on, and it's very deep. I mean, you go through the lyrics, and it's a deep song. It kind of came very naturally, but it's another example of taking something. You were saying it could be a happy song, and but be slow and moody. And where people are thinking that, it's a sad song, but it's really a happy song.
Yeah.
And, in this case, it's people, can tap their foot and bounce their head to what might come across as a happy song. But
would it be like the Hey Ya of Outkast?
Yeah. Right.
Like the lyrics of that song is jacked up, but I mean it's a good song.
Yeah.
It's that kind of idea. Yeah, it's the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the beauty about songwriting, is that you can, even have an upbeat, sad song. And so that's what I like about songwriting, is there's no rules.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do what you want.
Absolutely, man. And I guess to put a period on it is nothing has meant more, man. Like I was just bull crapping a couple months ago at an open mic.
Mm-hmm.
I played late. It was like I went on at 11:30, and I had just sat around and watched. I just wanted to see the talent that was going to come out that night, because I was looking for a podcast, maybe,
Sure.
And I just asked a couple of the guys, like, I liked the way that one guy played lead guitar, and I asked another guy, I like the way you play bass. And then got up there, and I was like, yeah, I don't know this song. And I kind of told him what to do, told him the key, and I was like, let's roll.
Cool.
And we done that with like 3 of my original songs, and during halfway through the second song, a drummer come in and sat in on it, and it was like a special moment.
Sure.
And after it was over, I went outside on the porch, smoked a cigarette, and some guy followed me out there and just kind of tapped me. He was right behind me. He's like, "Dug those songs, man." He was like, "So are y'all a band?" No, I was like, I wrote those songs, but I was like, I just met those guys tonight. I just asked if they would play with me.
That's cool.
And man, that second song you played, it touched me, and I was like, really? And then he kind of told the story about what it meant to him, and why I wrote it was not even near to that, but that's what he heard.
Isn't that awesome?
Cool, man. Cool.
Yeah.
Those moments are rare. Like, I've been told that like maybe 4 times, but that's a reason to keep on.
It really is. I love it when that happens. And that happened with our song Home Away From Home. There's a guy that I've come to know. He comes out to see us pretty regularly. And he and I have built a friendship. And he and I were sitting having a beer one night, and he kind of expressed to me his why he identifies with that song so much. Mm-hmm. And we had a really cool conversation that night, and it's cool because it hits everybody, like you said, differently.
Yeah.
And they interpret it a different way. It's really cool.
I had a guy that I went to high school with. He graduated like a year or 2 before I did. And I guess we're friends on Facebook, or however it works. I don't know how he found it. But like, he wrote me. I guess it had to be Facebook. He wrote me on Facebook.
Uh-huh.
And like, it was a podcast. It was episode 100 where like I was the guest.
Oh, okay.
And shared the first song I shared was "Away I Go." It was a song I had just wrote like the night before.
Okay. Both
songs on that I had wrote the night before. Like, I had never had a night like that with songwriting where I wrote 2.
Yeah.
But he sent me. He's like, your song "Away I Go." He was like, dude, I love that song. And I was like, dude, we never connected. Like, I knew him all my life, and like, we never hung out. And I just, like, it was just somebody you would see that you would say hello to, and that would just be it.
Yeah.
Like, y'all were cool, but you weren't cool. Like, you were just acquaintances.
Yep.
And I was like, man, like, that's like relating to a stranger. That was cool.
Yeah. That's cool, man. I like that. It's cool when those moments happen. And when was it? I had a situation with that with Pine Valley Woman as well.
Yeah, man. I want to hear that song.
Yeah, that song will come out eventually. It's one of those ones. It's hanging on there. Just I got to figure out. There's just got to be a little bit more to it as far as I don't know. There's some special ingredient that I'm missing here, and we're gonna find it. So Mandy and I are gonna be singing it at our show on Friday night, and so she's taken a verse or two.
Plugs right here. Duet that just came out.
Yeah. What's that?
Your duet with her.
Yes, for Home Away from Home.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it was. That was a fun experience. We recorded it at her house, in her living room, and she and I and our bass player Eric, and that was fun, man. And it was just a lot of fun to redo that song and add her to it. Change the key, and it gave a whole new life to it. So her voice is so amazing. It just adds another level to that song.
That was the first thing I told you, I think, on the first episode that we got on together. Is like, I think that Amanda is being underutilized.
Yeah. She's being utilized more and more. I think more than she ever expected. That's for sure.
Yeah, man. That's so dope, man.
Yeah, it's such a nice. She and I, our voices complement each other real nice.
They do, man. Y'all,
Yeah.
The harmonies are great.
Yeah, I love it. I like singing with her, and it's just been a lot of fun, kind of as we grow as a band, and we start to learn each other a little bit and how certain little things that we do. And she tells me she knows when I'm about to mess up the lyrics. She says I have like a tell, like in poker.
That's a true thing, man.
Yeah, so I asked her what it was. She told me she won't tell me.
That's a real thing. Is like me and Levi, when we had the General Specific, me and him, we had the Foundation band before that. Me and him made music together for 6 years.
Uh-huh.
And like, we lived together for 2 years, but like, you know what's crazy about that relationship?
What's that?
It's like the whole time we were rooming, like, we had a piano, like a stand-up, in the living room, and like guitar in my bedroom and guitar in his bedroom. And I could count on one hand how many times we played together at the house.
Isn't that funny?
Like, it was almost like we wanted to do anything but music while we were at home. Like, we just wanted to watch NBA or something, we just wanted to hang out.
Yeah, sure.
But like, he had one of those tales, and I had one of those tales too. And so like at church, when we would play together, like, I would play, the grand piano was on the corner, and like, I would run my line over right behind the grand piano.
Oh, okay.
And so I could see him. Cause like, with our songs, especially when we had the General Specific, and like when we would play for the church, is like, if we felt like there was a need to extend, or if like, dude, it was rarely practiced. Like, we lived together and didn't play. But like, when we were on stage and when we were playing, like, it was as easy as him like looking at me and like just nodding his head, and I knew exactly what was coming. And then I would look over to the band, and I would tell them what was going on. Like, he was the leader, but I was the guy that like told the band what was about to happen.
Yeah.
And we just did signs, and that was crazy. Do y'all have? I'm sure y'all do by this time, but that band ran for 4 years. It's like, it was almost as easy as a nod, and everybody understood what was about to happen.
Yeah, we do little signals like that. It's usually like the lift of a headstock or a stomp of the foot.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And so, man, that's beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
Is like with the dynamics I'm hearing, like with the duet and just some of the live things that I'm seeing, and I think it's cool that you bring the band members on sometime with you on Fuzzy Fridays.
Yeah, I wish I could do it more. Sometimes, after rehearsal, I want to do it, but people got to run or whatever. And
Yeah, man,
So,
life. Yeah.
We'll get them on. We'll get them all on eventually.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, Fuzzy Friday's a lot of fun, man.
Well, brother.
So we're going to take a break, though. I think Friday is going to be the last one of the year, and we'll start back in January.
Awesome.
So.
Well, man, it is. It's getting late here. It has to be getting late there. And,
yes, sir.
So, just final thoughts. Anything left to plug? Any final thing to say to the Porch Talk audience before we part ways for the year? Fuzzy, I'm so excited for y'all, man.
Well, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Like all my support and everything I can do, dude. I totally believe in y'all, man.
I love it. Thank you very much, and I'm glad your podcast is doing so well, man. It's really a cool podcast. It's I get excited when you call me. You're like, hey, you wanna get together and do another one? I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's I got home. I worked the mall today in Tupelo, and I got home and I had Cobb over here. You know, he's a regular on the show, and me and him talked for about 5-10 minutes, and I was like, well, I'm about to go back here and talk to Fuzzy for a bit, and I'll holler at you later. And he was like, dope.
nice.
You know, and it's like, it's almost like a familiar thing. It's almost something that people are going to look for, and I'm excited about the podcast in general. I'm changing the landscape a little bit, like it's about to go mobile.
Oh, okay, cool.
And so no longer going to be confined to a computer and a microphone. Like, we can do the thing on the road.
Nice.
And we can create different environments. And so looking for that early 2020, I'm still test piloting. I did the first test pilot yesterday. I did it yesterday afternoon. And so it went great, but there's a lot of things I got to work on. But anyway, yeah,
Sure.
man, I cannot believe it, dude. Like, Porch Talk is just a little over a year old.
Yeah.
And I give it up to the guests, man. Like, I give it up to, like, there's a following in Buffalo. And
Yeah.
I think it's because folks know Fuzzy and the Rustbelts.
That's great.
You know what I mean?
That's great. I'm glad to hear that. That's awesome.
And then, there's folks in California, and I know that they're hearing Fuzzy and the Rustbelts.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want y'all to know about my boy, you know?
Well, I love it. Thanks for having me on again, and to the Porch Talk universe out there.
Yeah, man.
FuzzyandtheRustbelts.com. Check us out.
Yes, sir. And
yeah, man.
follow them on YouTube, man. Check out those Fuzzy Fridays.
Yeah, check us out on YouTube. It's fun. It's a lot of fun, and I sometimes I feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over again, but
it's always worth the ride, man. Like, just as a viewer, it hasn't felt monotonous yet.
Cool. Well, it's a lot of fun, man, and if you're out there and check us out on YouTube, you can see our Home Away from Home video and that sweet song as well, and you can link into all that from our website. So,
yeah, man.
Cool.
All right. Well, that's a wrap, Fuzzy. Thank you once again just for taking the time, man. I know it's getting late over there in New York.
Absolutely. Thanks, man. Yeah, I think we surpassed that half-hour mark, huh?
We sure did. It was worth it, though, man.
Absolutely. All right, brother.
All right. Out of here. News and notes. Thank you so much for listening to Porch Talk. I'm so glad that you're here. If you haven't done so already, I would ask that you would rate and review the show. And I don't know all the algorithms or how it works, but that really does help as far as being found. For those unaware, so share it on your social media and tell a friend in person. It helps out a lot. Thank you so much in advance for that. Now, I would like to tell you about Munson Brothers. We are at the Tupelo Barnes Crossing Mall till the end of the year. You're running out of time. It is that stocking stuffer for that beard in your life. Whether it's your boyfriend, your husband, your uncle, your cousin, your friend, your brother, yourself, whomever. Beard oils, balms, body wash, hand wash, soaps, candles, necklaces, Got some gold leaf art too. Check us out. MonsonandBrothers.com. You don't have to go to the mall. But it would be cool if you'd come out and connect with us. But that's my plug for that. And so to walk you on out the door, remember that song I was telling Fuzzy that I just didn't like, but I like now? Well, here it is. A song called 50 Million. Getting on out of here. Peace out.
Good riddance, have a nice life. Throw away the garbage, don't forget to tie it tight. I'm done listening to you, stomping and whining, smashing up the dishes too. Well, I'm tired of your lip, tired of your cooking. I've been living under constant correction. I cut my nails, leave hair in the same. The laundry hasn't been washed in a week, and the only thing that gets me through is my love for you. Still there's 50 million things I can hate about you. Throwing shoes, scatter brains, put away the groceries while the kids are gone insane. As you sit there and slurp your herbal tea, staring at your phone like an American zombie. Well, I'm tired of your lip, tired of your cooking. I've been vacuuming and cleaning the bathroom. You snore too loud, toss and turn. Every day is like one big blur, and the only thing that gets me through is my love for you. Still there's 50 million things I can hate about you. Hey! There goes another stressful holiday. And all the bills came in, no way to get paid. Yeah. Good riddance, have a nice life.